in a situation, what would be the correct mechanics, and so we have been discussing with umpires, and where one of the boats will get double penalty. Usually, two penalties happens. For example, if there's a deliberate break of the rule next, also to the mark or close to the finish. If you look at the call book, there you go. So this is M2 call. What are the common cases when you get a second penalty, which means that where the rule is you get an additional umpire-initiated penalty where the rule is broken deliberately. And then there is a situation which falls into what we call a twin penalty. And twin penalty is equivalent of green, but when we are not, as umpires, are sure if there was for example, we might disagree about the call. So, and in this case, we usually green if there's a disagreement between the umpires, or if there are some situations when we, for example, we won't be able to see, but we, for example, clearly see that there is a contact. So whenever there is a disagreement or there is a doubt and there is no contact, the umpires will display a green and white flag. However, if there is a contact, usually we'll show two penalties, blue and yellow, which cancel each other. While they cancel each other, we come to a very kind of peculiar situation. So if there is already two outstanding penalties, for example, for blue over here, blue is maneuvering to take the penalties. So we kind of, for example, needs to get out of the zone or doing something. And during that one, there's a second incident, which will result normally in green flag, but because there is a contact and there is some maybe disagreement between umpires or something, we would want to show two flags. Now, we are getting into an interesting situation because three flags on one hand is that if the umpires decide to penalize a boat and as a result the boat will have more than two outstanding penalties, the umpire shall signal her disqualification. Another rule here is see if the boat has one or two outstanding penalties and the other boat in her match is penalized, one penalty for each boat shall be cancelled if that the boat came into the situation with two penalties. Normally you would show green because, for example, that's an equivalent of green and she will have two penalties. If umpires decide to penalize the boat and as a result boat will have more than two outstanding penalties, then she will disqualify. So in this case, she, as a result, will not have two outstanding penalties because the penalties first will cancel each other and then it means that this penalty will not be outstanding. But in this situation, by doing these things, you are canceling each other. So she doesn't have a third outstanding penalty. She does a third penalty. She has a third penalty, 100%, yes, but it will not be an outstanding penalty. So which means, because it's cancelled right away, which means that you won't disqualify. And here I would be very also happy to hear any other comments from the umpires.